Well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for this amazing webinar. We have with us today Dr. Ahmed Elzawawy. Unfortunately, Will Nuwa could not be with us today, so we do apologize for that. As always, we have a chat form that you can use at any time during the webinar. Please send us any questions that you may have in there. This webinar is going to be recorded, so we will record the whole session and you would be able to watch it on demand after we finish today, whenever you want. I would like to start the webinar introducing Ahmed Elzawawy, MD and PhD, that is a professor at Suez Canal University and chairman of the Al Soliman Clinical and Radiation Oncology Center. He serves as chair of the Global Health Catalyst Win-Win Initiative and chair of the board of directors at the award-winning Global Oncology University. He's a former president of the African Organization for Research and Training in Cancer, and is the president of the International Campaign for Establishment and Development of Oncology Center. He's on the board of founders for AFROX H2, Cancer Research Consortium, and eCancer for All, a world premier comprehensive cancer center in the cloud. He contributed to the World Health Organization's cancer strategy for the new millennium, global strategy for radiotherapy, and in scientific, educational, and consultancy missions for ICE-DOC, and the International Agency for Atomic Energy in Africa, Asia, and East Europe. Thank you so much for being with us, Ahmed, and the floor is yours.
Hello, all audience, dearest audience, because the creator and the initiators and the cause of success of our win-win movement that belongs to all. Let me introduce myself quickly to you. I am Ahmed Elzawawy, professor of clinical oncology, Suez Canal University, Egypt, and I serve on the position that is in front of you. I say I serve because it is that all these positions belongs to colleagues, belongs to the scientific community. And please join. Welcome. Then next slide. This is our book. That is the occasion of that we present today, Approaching Global Oncology, the Win-Win Model. This book, we have the honor to present it to you, and it belongs to the readers more than the authors and editors. It belongs to you. Next slide. Yes, next slide. Next slide, Zahra.
Can you not see the slides? Because I'm changing. Yeah.
No, it's before. The slide before.
Yeah, this one, Approaching Global Oncology, the Win-Win Model.
Yes, the book, yes. We, Ahmed Elzawawy and Wilfred Negwa, are glad to present our new book, Approaching Global Oncology. The Win-Win Model is edited by Ahmed Elzawawy and Wilfred Negwa, but special contribution to His Excellency, the late Dr. Tabari Vasquez, past President of the Republic of Uruguay, and it is there is a forward, nice forward. Please read it by Sir Muir Gray, UK. Important keynote by Royal Highness Princess Dina Mered, immediate past president of the International Union for Cancer Control. Honor that Her Royal Highness is our honorary ambassador of the Global Health Catalyst Win-Win Movement. More than 100 distinguished experts contributed in this book. It's published by IOP, Institute of Physics Publishing Limited, Bristol, UK. Who are the target readers? Then all who are preoccupied with cancer care in the world. So all parties, as individuals, professional organizations, health industry, and policymakers are concerned. Scientists, economists, Nobel Prize laureate, all professional health care provider in fields of cancer care and control. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Yeah, I think it's taken a little bit longer to reach out to you. Yes, let's wait for a couple of seconds.
Okay. The challenge and the needs. Needless to repeat, the well-known data that the majority of cancer patients in the world have no access to reasonable, value-based cancer care. Millions of cancer patients with their family in the world are in need to actual, touchable, accessible, and affordable cancer care with dignity, and not just talks or publication declaration or world festivals about cancer and conferences about disparities and lack of equity. It is a fact that despite of all organizations, societies, conferences, report, commission, publication, several agenda, festival, cancer days, and all these things, and this we respect all this, and we are part of all this, but unfortunately, the gap between the required and the available cancer care in the low middle income countries, or better to say, underserved regions, increased in the last 10 years, and it will increase in the future unless effective international actions will be done in the real world. An example, the shortage in the world is at least more than 10,000 radiotherapy units in the upcoming 10 years. It's published by IAEA, published by all organizations. It's published by scientific works of many distinguished colleagues and scientists and organizations and societies. It is all known. Next slide. The next slide I would like to say that this means that there are a very huge market which is dead, and in the same time very many millions of cancer patients in the world are suffering and continue to suffer, and the number will be increased in despite of all the previous efforts. Is it the problem of low middle income countries only, or it is world global challenge? Okay, according to ASCO, American Society of Clinical Oncology, they stated that due to skyrocketing rise in cost of cancer treatment and new drugs, nearly 40% of American cancer patients abandon oncology, and oncologists abandon us. I am clinical oncologist, and searched for alternative methods for fear of cost of treatment that come before the fear of death and cancer pain. You imagine this. The fear of cost in the United States among patients in the United States now come before fear of death and cancer pain. This is in the United States of America. So we can imagine the tragic picture in the many parts of the world, particularly the low middle income countries. So the challenges are worldwide, but with different magnitudes and variabilities. Most of them the underserved or not served patient, unfortunately, even the below underserved, many millions are not served patients in the low middle income countries. In the win-win movement, we mean by global care is the cancer care worldwide. In language, global means worldwide, international, total, and overall. So nothing indicates the misuse. Unfortunately, misuse frequently happen that of considering it exclusively as cancer care in the low middle income countries. Otherwise, it should be named clearly as oncology care in low middle income countries and not global. Next slide. The solution always comes global, and the problem is global, and this is for the benefits of all. Along the last decades, most of us contributed actively, and we deeply appreciate and respect all the international, regional, and national efforts. But the question is, to all of us, shall the world continue with the same previous approaches and not realized plans till now? It's tragic, tragic really. Or there is an alternative. We assume in the win-win movement and in this book that we present what could be widely realized in the world. It should be based on scientific exploration. It is not slogan. It is not political slogan. It's not just titles. It's not just speaking. It's not just idealistic or romantic thinking. Yes, it is based on idealistic and romantic thinking, but our approaches are completely scientific, completely value-based. So it's based on scientific exploration, focused on how to lower the total cost of care, not necessarily a price of a drug or a device per se, but all this without compromising the outcome and with better patient-centered value. There is a need for a global campaign, win-win global campaign. The winner will gain more, believe me, but no one will lose. There is a need for efforts from all parties and experts, from all of you. As we stated in the book, and according to the win-win modifications of Blue Ocean Strategy, as I coined this term, please, there is details about the win-win modification of Blue Ocean Strategy for health industry and for all stakeholders, for organization. Hence, there would be no deadly rivalries, no deadly competitions, but there is wider ample places for all under the sun. Next line. All will gain more. We stress on the notion of considering the interest of and incentives. We are in the real world. We are speaking about the real world and incentives of all stakeholders in the real world. Hence, it includes patients, the progress of science, flourishing the business of pharmaceutical companies and manufacturers of radiotherapy machine and medical device and all industry and economy. We are again not against economy of industries and pharmaceutical company and all. We are not against. No, we are for. We are for that all will gain more and continue without crisis, without upcoming crisis, and all without ruining a country economies. Remember that 62% of the bankruptcy due to medical causes in the United States is due to cancer. Is that shall we continue like this? And imagine the picture in less affluent communities everywhere. I can tell you that 1/4 of cancer patients, or among them, there is radiotherapy is strongly indicated. in West Europe. I don't speak about East Europe or low middle income countries, but 1/4 of patients, according to studies of ESTRO, European Society of Surgery of Radiation Oncology, 1/4 of these patients didn't receive their appropriate radiotherapy. This is in West Europe. We can't see all this, so you can imagine the picture in other parts of the world. We can do a lot, but with win-win approaches, scientific approaches. After your reading of the whole book, we raise with you this burning issue. Isn't the time to inspire from Roosevelt think tank when he conquers the serious destructive recession in the 30s? Roosevelt think tank. But here we modified and inspired from this great initiative to that all parties develop smart global win-win deals for cancer care. We would like to hear from industry, from economists, from intelligent people everywhere, smart from patients, from our families everywhere, because we are in one planet and we are all cousins. Next slide. We ask all audience of this video to click on the link to the book. There is a free access for all. It's free access for all who click on this link to the book information, to the front matter that includes the book summary of all each chapter and the first chapter. But we assure you that you will never regret to read the whole book. If you read the first chapter and the front matter, I'm sure that you will not regret to read the whole book. Obtain it quickly and read it. It is yours. It is between your hands. The book contains hundreds of examples of the published scientific approaches for resource-sparing, better value cancer care. Yes, hundreds of examples of the published. We didn't invent anything. I didn't invent anything. My colleagues and Win-Win Move didn't invent anything. And this is published, but I don't know why we pass by it, because for short, I don't like to say, but short-sighted, we think about today and not for tomorrow, about the next generation. The future belongs to them and not to us. So as an old man, I say, this belongs to the young generation, like Azhara, who listen to us now. This belongs to them. Also, it represents the win-win notions, strategies, and approaches. You will find many things like this in our book that belongs to all. It comprises chapters that represents the point of view of some big health industry, the CEO of some big company, the directors, the vice president of some big country contributed in. We have two chapters written by them, because we are very open and flexible and transparent. We would like to hear from all parties, and because the movement belongs to all. It is not mine. It is not belongs to the faculty of the Global Oncology University only. It is ours. Also, it contains example of successes and collaborations in field of cancer care in the world. We are not speaking theoretically. Next slide. This is example from Latin America, from Africa, from Asia, from many parts of the world. It is in Georgia, Republic of Georgia, and other countries. It is not one more book on the shelf. It is a live book. It is aimed at to be, as I coined the term, new model of publications for the third decade of the 21st century. A living book. Continue by you. You created we created together by you and with you and led by you. The continuation. It is a live book. So the book will have no big value without your feedback, suggestions, and ideas from readers and all contributors in order that to be translated by all into win-win implementation in the real world. In the real world, it's not theoretical thing. The book and publication movement, as presented in the chapter publications in this book, there is chapter for publication and dissemination, belong to all who contribute in further progress. There is a link to add your suggestion and feedback and everything, and this appear in our web, and you have replies, and you created the continuity of this movement in the real world. Next slide. And surely this publication movement was with contribution with many editor-in-chief of high impact journal and scientists. You will find it in chapter 9 in the book. In the book, you can read more details about the important channels of the win-win movement. That includes catalyst action and volunteer consultations. And this means that is all of you are invited to lead and to suggest and to lead what you suggest. It is not one more organization. It is not one more. We are not competing. We are not challenging, but we are complementing, and we are a forum for all. It belongs to all of you. Core of Catalyst advisor and win-win consultants. You can join this link also. Scientific research and win-win publication movement, including this new book. And there are some other examples of publication and videos. If you visit these links to the win-win links, then you'll find videos with ASCO, with UICC, with Aortic, with many, and publications, and that carry examples of how we can lower the cost, the total cost of cancer care. Just examples. There are unlimited field for research and continuations, unlimited field of research for all. The global third is the Global Oncology University for better cancer control worldwide, and e-cancer for all for online education plus on-site training. The Global Oncology University, also, you visit its site. We started in the fall of 2016, but we have the first courses in 2017, and we are awarded in 2018 the award of excellence in medical education in medical physics and in the United States of America. After 1 year only of it start, we were surprised really, but because of your contribution of many, not me and not Wilfred Negwa and not Professor David Kerr or Professor Eduardo Gazap or Professor Ricardo Audicio or Professor Luca Ancarucci or all Atwalib Ngoma, Stephen Avery, Siful Haq, Ghulam, and many professors, but it's because of you, the feedback of your feedback and contributions. So we are working now for continuation. We had just a course since 2 to 3 weeks about medical physics, and we have other courses. We have courses in clinical trials led by Professor David Kerr, Oxford. We had also courses in global oncology. We had courses in also in clinical oncology. And some of our dearest colleague, Professor Stephen Avery from Pennsylvania, and Professor Wilfred Negwa from Harvard and Johns Hopkins, from Professor Siful Haq from United States, and the chair of both past present chair of AAPM, Association of American Association for Physicians in Medicine. They are working hardly now to have a credit certificate, a credit degrees. It needs a lot of work, but if we continue to speak about how to make cancer care affordable and accessible without building human capacities, do you imagine? I give you just an example. If you speak about radiation oncology or medical physics or clinical oncology, about medical oncology, radiation, surgical oncology, clinical trials. We need human being capacity in many parts of the world. And we have an initiative in this, and this belongs to all of you. And you mentioned, for example, how many the number of physicists lacking to, for if you would like, if you are serious to say that radiation oncology in many parts of the world is not tens, not hundreds, it's by thousands. And the problem is that when a person becomes qualified in a middle income country, this is brain drain, because it's not really brain drain, it's brain escape, because the conditions in their country are not enough. We are also dealing with this, all of us. We are just suggesting, but many things should be repaired to consider these colleagues in low middle income countries are co-workers to colleagues in the highest institute, United States or UK or France, and all will gain. Science will go forward much, and innovation will increase, and the benefit will be for all. We are speaking about very realistic things to be achieved if we are serious enough to do it. Next slide. Please visit the website of the Global Oncology University, and please come. And there is ample place in this Global Oncology University also for all educational achievement. We are not competitor. We have our courses, we present it, but there is a big side to, if ASCO would like to announce or something, if something in Germany, if something in China, if something in Japan, something in Latin America, and there is part also by Spanish, by SLACOM. And SLACOM is a South American, Latin American association, organization for medical oncology, and this organization of institute in Latin America. And this part of activities led by our colleagues and the distinguished Professor Eduardo Gazab, the past president of the International Union Against Cancer, and he is also the president of many things in Latin America, and ASCO and ESMO and many other activities. So the place of Latin America, and we say global mean globals, that you are very ambitious to have something with Spanish, Portuguese, why not Russian, Chinese? So we are going, and there will these. What is very specific, that there are ample places to announce for any activity of education and training for all. So any candidate, any of our colleagues in any part of the world, click the Global Oncology University. They found what is running, what is going on to in American Society of Clinical Oncology, about ESMO, about China, in Japan, course in Germany, course in French, course in Brazil. And then click and join and attend, and there is opportunity for fellowship. For fellowship, we have contact with many organizations now to announce for their fellowship of training. No, we are not competitors. We are not challenging. We are competing, and we are serving all. So it is forum for all. It is by you and for you. Fourth example, fourth channel, that is Africa, Oxford, Harvard, John Hopkins Cancer Research Consortium, AFROX H2, led by Professor David Kerr, Oxford, UK, and is one of the leader and founders of the win-win movement. The win-win ambassadors, in this book, you will find the keynote of Her Royal Highness, Princess Dina Mered, immediate past president of the UICC, International Union for Cancer Control, and we are honored, as I said, to be our honorary ambassador of the win-win. We are a movement. We have also an ambassador, Her Excellency Dr. Diane Gashumba, the former Minister of Health in Rwanda, and she is now the ambassador of Rwanda in Nordic countries. Welcome all. Young Catalyst win-win collaboration. This is very important part, and there is a chapter in our new book about the Young Catalyst. to give them information, give you information about them, because we count on the young generations. They are important part of the present, and they are the whole future. 7, the Global Health Catalyst Summits. It's not just a meeting, but just a real exchange of views, exchange of experience to make this movement forward. And you are all invited. Also, it is a hybrid. It is started as on site in Harvard University, Harvard Medical School, and then in Johns Hopkins, and in Pennsylvania, and so on. You are all welcome. Next slide. The win-win belongs to all. Reading the whole book would be the first phase, just the first phase. All what we presented will be of no big outcome without all of you. We are aiming also to build together the national campaign by you, led by you, and to develop and crystallize with all think tank and smart win-win global deals for cancer care in the real world, with industry, with all. I would like to say thank you all. This is on behalf of all colleagues and the contributors in this book, and all colleagues in the Win-Win Initiative and the Global Oncology University. And this is the link to the book. And you find in the book also links to how to send feedback. And if you just visit the website, this website is the 3w.icdoc.org. ICEDOC.org. This is not information about International Campaign for Research and Training in Cancer. I'm president of this organization, but it is because in this site we will have information of all. If you miss any other link, you will have links to the book, link to the Global Oncology University, links to how to send feedback, and this feedback also about the book, idea, suggestion, critics. Please send your critics. Will be in the base of the next editions and next books with your names and everything. And this come to me or to Wilfred Nagwa only, but in the same time, automatically when you click the link, your feedback goes to Professor Eduardo Gaza, to Professor David Kerr, and our other leaders in our initiative. So if something happened to me, or we are transient in this life, it will continue with my colleagues, will continue with you particularly. Thank you all, and I am yours if you have any question, or if we have time, we can speak more details about these points. Thank you all. Going forward, hand in hand, warmest regards. Ahmed Elzawawy.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. It's been absolutely amazing, the presentation. So to the audience, please send us any questions or comments that you may have, and we will be happy to discuss them with you all. Right now, I have here a very long question that I would like to share with you, Ahmed, if you don't mind. Somebody would like to know, what effect do you hope that this book will have on the more affluent countries to more greatly assist and support low middle income countries in the development of less costly and more effective cancer treatments?
I would like to say that if you read the book, you will give me and us many beneficial, many useful ideas, more than maybe I imagined. because you will see that I don't like, frankly, the way the support help us. I would like to say that there are many resources in the low and middle income countries, but it is misused, and there is no cost-effective agendas for many projects. And I would like to say the crisis. I started always to give examples of the problems in the United States and in the Europe. I would like to say that the future, in the low middle income countries, doesn't need support for themselves, but they need cooperation and collaboration for the benefit of all, even in patients for patients in the United States. If you see if you read the book, and I can send you other examples, not only the book. Just last week, a patient in the United States said that that after diagnosed as breast cancer, the surgeon told her that there is no that she haven't money for the surgery, so she waited some months to be operated. This is in the United States. I tell you example that a nurse, oncology nurse in the United States, wrote that she had 71 years, and she says that I continue to work hardly despite that I am cancer patient and I receive drugs, expensive drugs, because the insurance doesn't cover some of my drugs. So I had to continue to work hardly to pay for my apartment and from medical treatment. And if you read the book, also you find that how is the burden on many families, not the patients only, but you read the statistics from the United States. If you read some of the reference in the book about the shortage of essential drugs in the United States and Europe, some particularly in the United States, and that there is a need to, if we continue like this, it will be catastrophe for all. And I started with this example to say that if this happened in Western country, so I don't propose this to say support us or help us. This is help yourself. Help ourselves. We are one planet. If you help people, believe me, if you study well cancer, some types of cancer and some genetic factor in East Africa or West Africa or Latin America or South Europe or something, you will find some examples, interesting, that will be beneficial for all. I don't know how to how far I can speak now about scientific example, but because I don't know if the audience support me, so I'll give some example. But if it is very technical, just if the audience is not medical, so just inspire the meaning. I give an example that in the book you find a cost of a drug for a patient in United States, one certain drug by its name is $100,000. This is even high in United States. You imagine what is the condition in Africa or Latin America and some parts. But in this book, you will find for this drug and many other drugs, scientific solutions, and only you can spend 4,000 drugs by science, by pharmacology, by pharmacokinetic studies. I don't speak about slogan or call for some political things or some poems. It is pharmacology, it is radiogenomic, it is radiotherapy, it is surgery. There are many examples how to lower the cost. So it will lower the cost mean that the treatment become more affordable. And when it's become more affordable, the richest company in the United States and Europe will gain more from selling. There are many, most of the dead markets in Africa and Asia are dead or very weak. So selling their products and become accessible and affordable to millions of patients in this area will be beneficial for all. This is not support to this patient only, but this is support to the American economy and the economy of UK and the economy of France and all. We are not speaking about begging, support, help. No, I'm speaking about there is a need for this for all, the rich and the poor. And when I say building capacity, when we, not I say, we say, win-win initiative and this global health catalyst win-win initiative, and in this book, when we say that building capacities and how that these parts of the world be part of the scientific community and research and development of progress of science all over the world. This is possible when a researcher in Mozambique or Tanzania become well qualified, he is well qualified, and continue to work in his lab or his clinic or his pharmacy or whatever, and he's connected to Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, Sorbonne, and is connected, and they are doing together research and works while he is in his country. He'll serve his people, and he make a huge advance in science, and it will be for the benefit of scientific and trials and scientific and industry and all, because they become co-worker to people while they are living in Mozambique, Tanzania, Senegal, and so on. So it is to be their co-worker. They will gain more, so we are realistic. They will gain more money of this money of research, and they become research and advancement will be more wide and maybe with less expenses. There are many approaches. There are unlimited field of research and for developments. All will win. It is not support and help from one-to-one, but it's collaboration in which all will gain. In the industry is in, I repeat, in deadly need to expand their selling everywhere. I say an example, this scientific example, but I'm sorry if it is technical things. It's not very technical. I explain it simply. For example, there is a drug for chronic myeloid leukemia. It is a type of chronic cancer, blood cancers. And one of the very successful treatment for it is the sheet of imatinib. And imatinib is expensive. And there is a movement by some company for maquillage and these things, so to help to give help to some countries to offer this drug for free for some countries. But there are other means also, and this give example to many other drugs. This drug, it is in its there are some experiment now that it could be useful for resistant tuberculosis. And resistant tuberculosis is a problem, is not very well estimated, but maybe 100 tuberculosis, more than 100 million patients in the world. So there is trials of some of our colleagues now in the United States about this, and there is a repurpose movement in the United States. Now we are collaborating with them. It's part of this. You will find chapter about repurpose drugs in our book also, chapter 23 and 24, and you'll find many examples. This is one of the examples. If this drug proved, and now it's about to be proved to be very useful in resistant tuberculosis, then you will find market of 100 million drugs. And how many millions of patients suffering chronic myeloid leukemia? It's not millions. just thousands. So the drug which is expensive now, you will find a huge market for it. You can offer it for few pences or few piastres for the chronic myeloid leukemia. So there are many ways, and the company will gain more. We don't say for the company, reduce it to some cents or some few dollars, but you will gain more for research, for this broad-minded research, for smart research. There are hundreds, I can say thousands of examples like this. Even for devices, you imagine that for some techniques in radiotherapy or something, there are some modifications that make that the procedures of 1/4 of time to do it. So you will save money and you treat more patients, and the machine cost less. And when it costs less, yes, it is a loss for the company, for the manufacturer. But when they sell more and more and more, and the maintenance will be less, then they will gain a lot. When we have some modification of small things, you know, the leftover in some vials in some expensive drugs cost $3 billion annually. You imagine this. This is in the West. But nobody touches this because they sell. They continue to sell. But there are many options to reduce this waste. And it's written in the book, some of this example written in the book. There are many examples. You imagine that I didn't invent anything. My colleagues didn't invent anything except this some invention really by our colleagues, Professor Ross Pico and Professor Eric Ford. Some really invention and some other invention by other colleagues, but most of what I wrote personally and many other colleagues is not really invention. There are also some invention by my friend Wilfred Negua and colleagues, and there are many examples. There are unlimited examples of innovations that could be done. And when I say this, I am not alone, but fortunately, we are together. If you read the chapter of publications, you will find the effect of this. Not me who do it, not Wilfred Negua, but the editor-in-chief themselves, when they meet and there is a link to this video of this session in Harvard, in the chapter of publications, you can listen it yourself, video, and the editor-in-chief of Lancet Oncology, the editor-in-chief of the Red Journal, editor-manager of Science, editor-in-chief of European Journal of Surgical Oncology, editor-in-chief of ASCO GCO Global Oncology, emeritus editor-in-chief, and one of our leader, Professor David Kerr, editor-in-chief of Annals of Oncology. Surely, one of the main pillar, Professor Eduardo Gazap and Danny Perk, the editor-in-chief of eCancer, and others from our distinguished colleagues, agrees together to make a movement to encourage publication focused on how to increase better value cancer care in the world. You imagine this. And they give priorities now to articles coming from to the underserved patients. And this is become not a dream, but it is in 20 September 2020, the eCancer Medical Sciences announces this policy. And the Lancet Oncology published already the Lancet Oncology Commission for Sub-Saharan Africa. And we are doing now China-Africa cooperation in oncology. And with some colleagues now, we are doing Lancet Oncology report on North Africa. and so on. This is Lancet Oncology and others. So what I am saying is not theoretical and not dream, but I'm just speaking on behalf of many who have more important roles than me. And the audience, I think that many of them can do very important initiative, leaders, but all focused on how to increase affordability of better value cancer care in the world with dignity, And we mean, as I stated in the book, dignity, I mean it's physical, social, financial, economic dignity for our patients and family everywhere. Any kid with cancer or sick patient in the world is our kid. This is the message simply. And you are all leaders. We are just initiator, but this continue with all of you. Is not support is not asking for help, but help others is helping yourself. And as they say in French, because I'm sorry that my speaking is international French English, because I was formed and have my postgraduates and many of my education was in France and my early career was in Paris, but I am now in Egypt. So it is some French accent, and I speak a lot. I'm talkative. It's French mentality, and I'm proud of it. I'm not ashamed of it. It is part of me. So we accept each other, and I'm very thankful for accepting this.
Thank you so much, Ahmed.
Is there other comment, Azhara?
Unfortunately, we ran out of time already, but I want to thank everybody that came to the webinar, and I want to thank you, Ahmed, for such an amazing and passionate presentation about the program and the win-win method. Thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions that we haven't been able to answer, we will reply to you individually. Have a nice day, everybody, and thank you so much.
Bye bye all. Hand in hand, hand in hand, hand in hand.